All right, everybody, welcome back into Sports and Money with Ben Parker. Hope you've had a good week. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes here with us on the Sports and Money channel. If you like what you see, if you got comments, questions, feel free to hit us up. Any criticism, hit us with that too. We'll try to improve. But we're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs again, specifically Anthony Hitchens, their new linebacker, who just signed his new contract last year. I'm going to start with the contract itself. We'll go through a few of those numbers. As usual, I've got numbers all over the board. We'll try to make it clear for you. Start with the Anthony Hitchens contract. Then I want to look at how it fits into the linebacking perspective as a whole for the Chiefs. Then I will look at the 2019 offseason and see a couple of decisions that the Chiefs might have to make there. Let's start with the Anthony Hitchens contract. It's 5 years, $45 million. He's not breaking the bank, and the reasons for that is because he's not yet proven himself to be a superstar. Matter of fact, some people might not have even necessarily heard of him before this offseason. He has improved every year, but he hasn't necessarily hit that superstar level. But the Chiefs are certainly hoping for a breakout year over the next season or two from Anthony Hitchens. He's getting $21.3 million guaranteed. Now, those guarantees can go up as the contract progresses, but for now, $21.3 million is what he is guaranteed to get out of this deal, no matter what. At whatever point the Chiefs decide to part ways with him, even if that were today or 5 seasons from now, he's guaranteed the $21.3 million. It's a solid contract for the Chiefs. It's not going to blow them out of the water financially. I want to get into why I like this contract, and then we'll get into the contract itself. First of all, let's start with Anthony Hitchens himself. Every season, for the most part, he has continued to improve. Like I said, he hasn't yet hit superstar level. The Chiefs are hoping that they haven't seen the best of him yet, that he is just right there on the verge of a breakout season or two, and that he is really going to step it up. But he has looked very good so far. His number of tackles have more or less increased every season. His ability to read offenses, his ability to try to captain on the defense has gone up every season. And so that's why, one of the reasons why I like this contract and why the Chiefs wanted to get him. The other reason why I like this contract is right here. This is his cap number for all 5 seasons, starting with 2018, going all the way down to the year 2022. His cap number jumps after the first season. $3.6 million, that's his cap hit for this next year, going to $2.5 million the next season. Now, after that, every season it remains relatively stable. You see it going 9.5, 11.3, 9.3, 11.3. So the cap number doesn't explode on you in any one year, except after this first year. We'll come back to that little jump here in just a minute and why that's going to create some interesting decisions for the Chiefs next offseason. But for now, just keep this in mind. The years 2019 through 2022, the cap number stays relatively stable. It will not be all that tempting, even as long as he is performing at a reasonable level, reasonable production. It will not be all that tempting for the Chiefs to get rid of him until really the last year of his contract. This column right here, that's the dead cap. That's how much the Chiefs would still be on the hook for, where they tried to release him. Every year up until that last season, it's really not going to be that tempting for the Chiefs to get rid of him. Now, this is something that all NFL executives are tempted with. This is their great temptation. No matter how good a player is, no matter how much you love a player, the very first offseason that their cap hit becomes way, way bigger than their dead cap space hit would be. It is tempting to get rid of that player. It is so tempting to think we can use that money for some other spot on the team, no matter how much we love the player, no matter how good he is. With the Anthony Hitchens contract, you really don't have that going on until the last season. So even in 2021, he's making $9.3 million. The dead cap hit would be $5.6. You would save of almost $4 million, but you would take a cap hit of 5.6. So as long as he's producing relatively well, they're going to keep him for those first 4 seasons of the contract. It's a very legit contract. And if he's producing at a high level, then they really wouldn't see a huge cap jump there in that final season, as long as he is producing at a high level. But that's a long time from now that they'll be able to have him on this team. So those are the 2 reasons why I like the contract. Number 1 is that Hitchens himself has basically improved every year from one year to the next. He looks like he is on the verge, if he stays hungry, of having a breakout season and really stepping up to that next level. Number two, I like it because in no season other than this first year, in no season do you see this huge cap jump where the Chiefs are now faced with the decision of whether or not to let him go until you get really to that last season. And even then, it's not a huge cap jump. By 2022, $11.3 million might be incredibly a bargain deal, actually, for a good linebacker, depending on what Hitchens turns out to be. So he's still relatively young. I think he's 25 years old. It is a good, solid contract for the Chiefs, one that really lays the foundation for them. Now, I want to move over and look at what this means for the linebacking core for this year. You have Justin Houston, of course, and we know that Justin Houston has a massive cap number. We knew he was going to have that years ago when he signed this contract, but he's a top edge rusher, continually gets pressure on the quarterback. $20.6 million is his salary cap hit for this year. Then you have D Ford. They could have let D Ford go, but they decided to use his fifth-year option. He's at $8.7 million. So you really have, if you're the Chiefs this season, you have a ton of money invested in the linebacker spot. It's a lot of money. You have right here the $3.6 million plus the $20.6. That's a little over 24. At about $9 million, you're looking at $33 million just in the top three starting linebacker spots for the Chiefs. So that's a lot of money that they're putting into this spot right here. After that, it really drops off. All the rest of the linebackers are at $1.3 million or less of a cap hit. So all these other guys, Zombo, Ragland, Smith, Legway, and Nicholas, these are just the linebackers that they have on the team at the current moment. All of these guys are at $1.3 million or less, but you have those top three guys. There really is no middle class in the NFL these days. It's a very small middle class, but you have these top three guys with Hitchens and Houston and Ford presenting a lot of cap space right there at that top linebacker position. Now the Chiefs are largely done spending on big free agents. Right now, they have $10.6 million left. That's a fluid number. It will come and go. It will grow and shrink as the offseason continues based on what they want to do. But for now, this is what they've got, $10.6 million left to spend. That's probably a lot of that's going to go to their draft class. Then you have Houston, Ford, and Hitchens as your starting linebackers, pulling in a pretty good amount of money. Now, let's look ahead to the 2019 offseason. So, Ben, why in the world would you want to ruin the 2018 offseason or the 2018 season by looking ahead to the 2019 offseason? Well, number one, that's just what NFL executives do. NFL executives are always looking 2 seasons ahead, 3 seasons ahead, sometimes even 4 seasons ahead, trying to project what's going to happen in the next offseason so they can set themselves up. A good front office will do this better and better. They will protect themselves and they will watch out for themselves in the seasons to come. So we're looking ahead at the 2019 offseason, and here's where it gets interesting for the Kansas City Chiefs. They've made a commitment to win this season, and they're going to try their best, but the linebacker spot will morph. Inevitably, it will have to morph some more in the 2019 offseason. Here's why. Justin Houston's contract is going to go from 20.6 to 21.1. That's not a huge jump. But the dead cap of releasing him is going to drop from, I think it's $17 or $18 billion this offseason to $7 million next offseason. You might say, wait, I love Justin Houston. They would never think about getting rid of him. It is always a temptation for NFL executives to think about what else you can do with the money. Next offseason, when Justin Houston is making $21.1 million and the dead cap hit for releasing him is only 7.1, they could save $14 million. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers that I'm spitting out there, but the vital point there is they could actually save $14 million next offseason by letting go of Justin Houston. Even though that's not something they would want to do, it's something that they're going to have to make a decision on. Also, D Ford next offseason will not have a 5th-year option. If they wanted to keep him, they would have to give him a franchise tag, which would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $14–15 million. So his number is going to go way up, D Ford's cap hit. Justin Houston's number is not going up by that much, but it's a huge cap number, and the dead cap space has dropped dramatically in the next offseason. And I said I would get back to this. I'm going to get back to it. Next offseason, don't forget, Anthony Hitchens' contract jumps from 3.6 to 9.5. So next offseason, it's not impossible. If the Chiefs wanted to keep all three of these guys, if they wanted to sign D Ford to a long contract, if they wanted to hang on to Justin Houston and his big cap number, and if they wanted to maintain Anthony Hitchens at 9.5, they can keep all three of their guys, but it's going to be really, really hard. Some other spot on the team is going to take a huge hit financially from an investment standpoint if they keep all three of these players next offseason. So Ben, why do I care about that right now? Well, this is what NFL executives have to look at. As they're making plans for this offseason, they're looking ahead. And more than likely, and listen, I know some of you, and I've had even comments on the previous videos, who just absolutely loved Holly and Derek Johnson, especially Derek Johnson. They had roughly cap hits of $5-6 million. That's one of the reasons why they let those guys go, is so that they could sign a guy like Anthony Hitchens. It can be very difficult for them to keep all these guys on the roster. By signing Anthony Hitchens, he's only 25 years old. Listen, he is not the edge rusher that Justin Houston is, and he never will be. There are very few guys who can do what Justin Houston can do. But Anthony Hitchens is a solid guy at middle linebacker, not only defending the pass, defending the run, but trying to get some pressure on the quarterback. He's a solid guy. He's young. This is your insurance policy. This is your stability for 2019 if you decide that you're forced into basically letting go of either Justin Houston or D Ford or both. Next offseason, 2019, you're not forced with dealing with all of your starting linebackers. You have Hitchens there providing some stability, not a huge cap number. This is a really good move for the Kansas City Chiefs. I really like what they've done here with the contract, providing some good stability for the next few seasons. It gives them options. Even if they decide that they want to keep Houston and they want to keep D Ford next offseason, at least they have options. If they decide they want to let go of both of these guys and continue to invest in other spots, they've got Anthony Hitchens there to kind of hold down the fort, especially if he's continuing to produce. So this is a really smart move by the Chiefs. It's not a splashy move. It's not going to grab a lot of headlines, but it's a really, really good move for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's what they're looking at, not only for this season, excuse me, but for the next offseason as well. All right, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time on Sports and Money with Ben Parker. Have a great day. Bye.